I'm pregnant. Those were the words Ashley dropped on me as if she expected flowers and applause. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "That's not my baby." The silence between us could have shattered glass. Her fake smile faded in an instant. "You're being dramatic," she snapped, her voice trembling just enough to show she wasn't expecting this. "Why would you say that?" "Why?" Because I'd already seen the video. Because 2 nights ago, my coworker Chris showed me something that changed everything. He'd pulled me aside after the Monday meeting, looking like he had a secret that was rotting his conscience. "Bro, I wasn't gonna say anything," he started. "But you need to see this." He handed me his phone and pressed play. It was shaky footage, low light, but unmistakable. Ashley. In the pool at the company party I missed. Laughing on the lap of Mr. Carter, the CEO. Her arms around his neck, feeding him cake like they were on a honeymoon. Then he kissed her. Not a peck. Not accidental. A slow, greasy, open-mouthed kiss, right there, with coworkers in the background. She didn't pull away. Didn't flinch. Just smiled and leaned into it. I stared at that screen like it was showing me a different reality. But it wasn't. It was my reality. One she had been hiding behind fake smiles and midnight perfume. Back to now, Ashley stood in front of me with wide eyes, one hand on her stomach, and the other clenched like she was bracing to argue. "You're being paranoid," she said, her tone shifting from fake concern to that snarky tone she used whenever she thought I was being too emotional. I didn't even raise my voice. "Are you seriously going to pretend nothing happened at the party?" I asked. "What party?" She blinked. "The one where you treated the CEO like your personal boyfriend." Her jaw twitched. "Oh, that? It was a joke. Everyone was drinking. You know how those parties get." "I wasn't laughing," I replied. "Neither were the other 50 people who saw it." She turned cold fast. "So what? You think I slept with him because of one stupid video?" "No. I knew it. Because later that night I followed her. She said she was going to her friend Jenna's for a girls' night. I knew that was bull. I tracked her phone location. Yes, I'd set that up a week ago when I started getting suspicious. She didn't go to Jenna's. She went to the Hilton. 30 minutes later, Carter arrived. They didn't sneak in like two guilty lovers. No, they strutted in like they had a reservation for betrayal. Now she stood here in my kitchen, claiming pregnancy, and expecting me to forget the whole damn circus. "I don't know what kind of game you're playing," I told her. "But if you think I'm gonna raise another man's baby, you've lost your damn mind." She gasped, as if I was the monster here. "You're disgusting," she screamed. "I came to you because I thought you were still a man with a heart." "No," I cut in. "You came to me because your sugar daddy bailed. And now you're trying to chain me to this mess." She slapped me. Didn't hurt. Just confirmed everything. I didn't react. Just looked her dead in the eyes and said, "We're done. And I want a paternity test. Now." She stormed out, but not before throwing one last dagger. "You're going to regret this." Maybe. But I doubt it. Because for the first time in months, I felt awake. The night I followed Ashley was the night the last pieces of the puzzle snapped into place. It wasn't rage that drove me, it was clarity. A cold, sharp focus that comes when your heart's already shattered and there's nothing left to break. Ashley had been acting off for weeks. Secretive smiles, phone always face down, locking the bathroom door even though she never used to. And then the lies started stacking like dirty laundry. Jenna this, work dinner that, spa day with mom. All excuses? All fiction. But that Friday night? That was the turning point. She walked downstairs dressed like a movie premiere. Red dress, sky-high heels, perfume so thick you could taste it in the air. She looked dangerous. Not for me, though. For someone else. "I'm going to Jenna's," she said, grabbing her keys. "We might get drinks after." "Sounds fun," I replied, pretending to be half asleep on the couch. She kissed me on the cheek like she was still that sweet, loyal wife from 2 years ago. And then she left. I counted to 60. Grabbed my keys. Slipped out the back. My car was already parked a block away, like I'd planned. Her GPS tracker pinged on my phone. Hilton. 6th Street. No surprise. I parked across the street from the hotel. 20 minutes later, a black Escalade pulled up. Carter, balding, wearing a jacket 2 sizes too small over his bloated frame, smiling like he owned the damn world. Ashley came out of the lobby to greet him. She kissed his cheek. They laughed. She touched his chest like she'd done it 100 times. And then they disappeared into the building. That was it. My last straw. I didn't go in. I didn't confront them. I didn't want a scene. I wanted proof, strategy, and control. So I filmed them. Time-stamped. Their faces. Her hand on his arm. Her body pressed into his side like they were married. I went home, put the phone on the charger, sat in my office, and opened a fresh document titled Divorce Strategy. Bullet points. Step by step. Lawyer. Finances. Prenup review. Backup evidence folder. Separate bank account. New passwords. By the time she walked in that night, I had already filed for a preliminary consultation with one of the toughest family lawyers in the state. She smelled like hotel soap. I didn't say a word. She pretended to yawn. Sorry I'm late. Jenna got super drunken. You lied too easily, I said calmly, still staring at my laptop. She froze. What? I turned the screen so she could see the paused video. Her and Carter entering the hotel. Laughing. Touching. She didn't even gasp. Instead, she rolled her eyes. So you're stalking me now? I laughed once. Just once. That's your takeaway? I didn't do anything, she said. Were you planning to just sit in the lobby all night? She crossed her arms. You don't know what happened. I stood up, walked past her, and said, I know enough. She followed me, trying to shout something, but I locked the bedroom door. I didn't care what she had to say anymore. That night, I slept in the guest room. And the next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Made breakfast. Played soft music. Wore her cute pink robe like she hadn't spent the night with another man. She even tried to cuddle me while I drank coffee. I moved away. She pouted. Are we seriously doing this? Oh, we are done, I said, setting down my mug. I'm just deciding whether to make it clean or messy. And then, like a script out of a bad soap opera, she whispered those words. I'm pregnant. Game on. When Ashley dropped the pregnancy bomb, she expected it to end the conversation. Like saying those 2 words, I'm pregnant, would erase everything I'd seen, heard, and felt. It didn't. It just added fuel to a fire she already couldn't control. I stood there for a second, mug in hand, not blinking. She stood by the fridge like she was waiting for a hug. Or maybe a proposal. Instead, I walked over to the drawer, pulled out a pen, and scribbled 2 words on a sticky note, paternity test. Then I stuck it to the fridge and walked out of the room. She followed me, her voice rising in pitch. You seriously don't believe me? After everything? I turned around slow. You mean after everything you've done? She paused. Just a flicker of guilt on her face, then it vanished. You're being ridiculous. I made a mistake. One night. That's it. One night? I laughed. You've been lying for months, Ashley. Changing your perfume, hiding your phone, sneaking out with that wrinkled CEO like some desperate groupie. And now suddenly I'm supposed to believe the baby's mine? You are such a piece of... She started, but I raised a finger. No. Not today. You're not turning this around on me. She looked like she might cry. But with Ashley, you never really know. She had this talent for weaponizing emotion, flipping the script so fast you'd start wondering if you were the villain. Not this time. I want the test done this week, I said firmly. And until then, don't even talk about baby names or sonograms. We're not playing house. That shut her up for now. The next few days were a war of cold shoulders and fake politeness. She walked around the house like a wounded saint, sighing loudly, slamming cabinets, texting nonstop. Probably Carter. Or maybe another guy. At this point, who knew? On Wednesday, she came back from the clinic with a smug smile. You happy now? Test is scheduled. Friday. Great, I said without looking up from my laptop. Make sure you actually go. Oh, I'm going. she snapped. I'm not scared of the truth. That made one of us. Because deep down, part of me hoped it was mine. Not because I wanted to raise a child with her, but because the idea of her carrying some other guy's baby while living under my roof made my blood boil. Friday came. I drove her to the clinic myself, just to make sure she didn't try to fake it. Sat in the waiting room with headphones on while she did the test. When she came out, she didn't say a word. Neither did I. The silence between us felt like barbed wire. That night I got a text. Unknown number. Just a screenshot. It was Ashley. In the same red dress from the night she claimed she was at Jenna's. Only this time, she was sitting on Carter's lap in what looked like his house. Candlelight. Wine. A damn fireplace. And she was feeding him again. Like it was a tradition. Then another text followed. You sure that baby's yours? No name. No number. Just a reminder that this rabbit hole had no bottom. I went to bed that night staring at the ceiling, knowing one thing for sure. I wasn't sleeping next to my wife. I was sleeping next to a snake in silk. And whatever was coming next, I'd be ready. The paternity test results came in the following Tuesday. I'd been checking my inbox every hour like a man on death row waiting for a final verdict. When the email finally landed, I didn't open it right away. My hand hovered over the mouse. My heart was thudding against my ribs like a damn drum. Ashley was in the kitchen, humming, baking muffins, playing the role of the innocent housewife like nothing had happened. I opened the email. Read the line twice, just to be sure. Probability of paternity, 0%. I didn't feel rage at first. Just numb. The kind of numb that makes you sit still while your whole identity dissolves. 0%. The baby wasn't mine. I looked over at her, still humming, still pretending. And then I did what I should have done a long time ago. I walked into the kitchen and slid my phone across the counter so she could read it herself. She stared at it. Blinked. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. Wow, she said, shaking her head. You're gonna throw a tantrum over a stupid number? I didn't answer. She crossed her arms, muffins still baking behind her. It doesn't change anything. I raised an eyebrow. You mean besides the fact that the baby's not mine and you've been playing me like a damn fool? Her face hardened. So what, Ethan? People make mistakes. Relationships go through things. But you go straight to war. I stepped closer. Mistakes are when you forget to buy milk. You've been living a double life. Sleeping with my boss. Lying to my face. Gaslighting me into thinking I was going crazy. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. She rolled her eyes. You were always so dramatic. Always needed everything perfect. You wanted a step-forward wife, and when I stopped pretending, you couldn't handle it. I clenched my jaw. You stopped pretending because you had someone else paying your bills in secret. Oh, give me a break, she snapped. You weren't exactly Prince Charming. Always working. Always tired. I wanted to feel wanted again. Then you should have left, I said coldly. Instead of sneaking around behind my back like a coward. She turned her back to me, pretending to check the oven, her hands shaking. You think you're so righteous, she muttered. But you're just as weak as every other man. Can't handle a woman who doesn't worship you. I stepped back. Something in me just snapped shut. I walked upstairs. Pulled 2 suitcases out of the closet. Started packing. She followed me up, panicking now. Wait, what are you doing? I'm leaving, I said. You've got until the end of the week to get out. Or I'll file a court order. You can't kick me out of this house. I bought this house, I said flatly. Your name's not on the deed. And since the baby isn't mine, you've got no leverage. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man standing in front of her. Maybe she didn't. Maybe I didn't either. You'll regret this, she hissed. Already do, I said. Every day I spent trusting you. She stood there, breathing hard, and for the first time, she looked small. Weak. Like the mask had finally crumbled. I zipped up my bag, walked past her, and didn't look back. Downstairs, I grabbed the test results, forwarded them to my lawyer, and then called a locksmith. By nightfall, she was locked out. And for the first time in weeks, I slept. Not peacefully. But I slept. 3 days after I locked Ashley out of the house, the real games began. It started with phone calls, dozens of them. First came the fake sweet ones. Ethan, let's talk. We can still fix this. Then came the guilt bombs. I have nowhere to go. You're heartless. I made a mistake, but you're throwing away everything we built. I didn't answer a single one. By the 5th day, she showed up outside the house. 7:30 in the morning? Crying on the front steps like a character in a cheap soap opera, dressed in a hoodie and clutching a tote bag like she was the one who'd been betrayed. I watched from the upstairs window, coffee in hand. She looked up, spotted me, and mouthed something. I couldn't tell what. Probably, "Please," or maybe something less polite. I didn't move. Eventually, she walked away. Later that afternoon, I received a letter from Carter's attorney. Yes, the same Carter she was hooking up with. It was vague legal talk warning me to cease and desist from defamation, referencing the video I'd forwarded to my lawyer as evidence. They were already trying to cover their tracks. It was pathetic. I had more than just that one video now. People at the office had started sending me things, screenshots, chat logs, even hotel receipts. Apparently, everyone knew Carter had a thing for married women. He'd done this before. Multiple times. And Ashley? She was just the latest flavor. But here's what pissed me off more than anything. She knew. She knew he was sleeping with others. She knew he wasn't exclusive. And she still went back to him. Over and over. Like some twisted competition. There was no love in what she did. Only power. Only ego. It was never about me. It was about what she could get from whoever gave her the most attention. I wasn't angry anymore. I was disgusted. That night, I sat down and started writing everything out. Every lie she told. Every suspicious night. Every red flag I ignored. My lawyer said it would help build the case. But really? I did it for me. I needed to see it all on paper. Needed to remind myself I wasn't crazy. There were texts I remembered now with chilling clarity. Going to Jenna's. Don't wait up. You're overthinking again. You always ruin good things. Why don't you trust me? Every time she said those things, she was lying straight to my face while another man's hands were on her. And I was out here paying bills, covering rent, bringing home groceries, and being called boring. The next morning, I walked into a lawyer's office with everything printed, organized, and labeled. Photos. Test results. Messages. My case was rock solid. My lawyer glanced at the folder and said, "This is more than enough. She's not getting a dime." I smiled. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming peace. That weekend I invited a few close friends over. Not to celebrate, just to breathe, laugh, and exist in a space that didn't feel poisoned. Chris came too, the same guy who showed me the video in the first place. He handed me a beer and said, "So, what's next?" I looked around. The house felt different. Lighter. "Freedom," I said. He raised his bottle. To that. Ashley still tried to reach out the following week. Different numbers. Burner accounts. Some of the messages went from apologetic to downright venomous. "You'll die alone. You think you're better than me? Carter's worth 10 of you." I blocked them all. Because I wasn't playing her game anymore. She lost the moment she underestimated how far I'd go to protect my dignity. By week 2, Ashley started showing her true colors. She wasn't just bitter anymore, she was cornered. And cornered people make dumb moves. One night, just after 10 p.m., I got a knock at the door. Not a text. Not a phone call. A knock. Loud, steady, like someone trying to break down guilt and rebuild it as sympathy. I looked through the peephole. It was her. She looked wrecked, makeup smeared, hair wild, hoodie barely hiding the mess she'd become. In her arms? A single suitcase. I didn't open the door. I cracked the window beside it. "What do you want?" I asked. "It's freezing out here," she said, voice cracking. "Can I come in?" "No." She blinked. Seriously? I'm not your backup plan, Ashley. She scoffed. I'm pregnant. No, you're pregnant, I said. I'm not involved. Remember the test? She shifted her weight, clearly not expecting me to stand as firm. I've got nowhere to go. You had a man, I said. A rich one. What happened? Carter stopped paying for hotels? Her face twisted into something between embarrassment and rage. He said it was too messy, she hissed. That I brought drama. I nodded. He's not wrong. She stared at me, eyes twitching with 1,000 emotions. So this is it? You're just done? No forgiveness? I let that hang in the air. Then, forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. I forgave you the moment I realized I don't care anymore. But that doesn't mean I want you in my life. I made a mistake, she repeated, like that phrase would magically undo everything. No, I said coldly. You made choices. One after another. You knew what you were doing. She sniffed. I kept hoping you'd come around. I smiled bitterly. I came around the moment you lied with a straight face and tried to dump another man's baby on me. That was your final masterpiece. She opened her mouth again, but I shut the window and walked away. She didn't knock again. 10 minutes later, I heard her suitcase wheels rattling down the driveway. That night, I set the final part of my plan into motion. See, while she was busy burning bridges, I had reached out to someone else. Her ex-best friend, Natalie, the one she cut off after Natalie called her out for flirting with Carter at last year's Christmas party. Turns out, Natalie had screenshots too. Private chats. Dirty messages. Carter wasn't the only one. There had been 2 others over the course of the past year. One of them? Our neighbor, Greg. Married. With kids. Natalie didn't just send me the messages. She sent them to Greg's wife too. That was the first domino. By the next morning, Carter's wife had them too. And by evening? The man who thought he could send me a legal warning was suddenly dealing with his own. Ashley's support system vanished in 48 hours. No friends. No lover. No fallback plan. She tried texting again. Why are you doing this? I didn't reply. You don't owe closure to someone who set fire to your life and tried to bury you in the ashes. Instead, I sat down and emailed my lawyer again. Sent him everything Natalie gave me. By this point, the divorce case wasn't just clean. It was surgical. No spousal support. No property claims. No child support, because there was no child of mine. Just a clean cut and a mountain of receipts. When Ashley tried one last time to guilt me, I'm still the woman you married, I replied with a single sentence. No, she died the moment you decided I wasn't enough. By the end of that month, Ashley was practically a ghost. No more surprise visits. No more manipulative texts. No more fake apologies trying to reel me back in with half-baked promises and mascara-stained guilt. She'd finally realized I wasn't coming to save her. Not this time. Carter had dumped her. His reputation at work took a hit after the screenshots started circulating. HR couldn't fire him. He was too far up the ladder, but they stripped him of public-facing duties, and his wife filed for divorce 3 days after receiving Natalie's email. Greg? He moved out of the neighborhood. His wife made sure the entire street knew exactly what happened. Even my mailbox had an anonymous letter in it. Thanks for exposing that scumbag. You saved more marriages than you know. I didn't reply. Ashley, on the other hand, was spiraling. I found out from Natalie that she'd been couch surfing, staying with a girl she barely liked from her college days, trying to sell some designer bags to keep herself afloat. I wish I could say I felt pity. But I didn't. This was a woman who looked me in the eyes, told me she loved me, and then spent months laughing behind my back, treating our marriage like some kind of safety net while she lived out a second life I wasn't invited to. So no. I didn't pity her. What I did feel was peace. Cold, hard, well-earned peace. One morning, I took a walk to clear my head. Same route I used to take when things were still good with her, when I thought quiet mornings meant stability, not silence hiding secrets. It hit me then just how much of my time with her had been built on denial. I used to ignore red flags. The business trips, with no itinerary. The way she always picked fights right before heading out. How she never left her phone unattended, not even in the shower. She blamed me for being paranoid, said I was controlling any time I asked a question. Turns out, I wasn't paranoid. I was being played. But not anymore. The divorce court date came fast. She showed up looking thinner, hollow-eyed, with a lawyer she probably couldn't afford. Mine? Calm, collected, organized like a surgeon. We sat in silence while our legal teams laid everything out. Infidelity. Financial lies. Paternity fraud. The judge didn't take long. Ashley walked out of that courtroom with nothing but a worn-out handbag and a court order to vacate the premises permanently. She didn't even look at me as she passed. But I looked at her. Not to savor it, not to gloat. To remember. To burn that image into my brain so I'd never make the mistake of trusting someone like her again. Back home, I took off my tie, popped open a beer, and stared at the ceiling for a long while. It was over. The war, the pain, the constant second-guessing. All of it. I thought I'd feel angry. Or victorious. Or broken. But all I felt was clean. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was drowning in someone else's lies. And then something unexpected happened. Natalie called. "Hey," she said a bit nervously. "Just checking in. Heard everything went down today." "Yeah," I said. "It's done. You okay?" I paused, then smiled. "Getting there." She laughed. "Well, whenever you want to celebrate freedom, drinks are on me." I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no either. Because maybe, just maybe, the next chapter wouldn't start with betrayal. Maybe it would start with truth. 2 months had passed since the court date, and Ashley had become a distant echo, something I used to know. Like an old scar. Still there, still visible in the right light, but not something that hurt anymore. She'd moved to a small apartment on the edge of the city. Word was, she was struggling, no job, few friends left, and Carter? Completely gone. He cut her off after the legal blowback from his wife's divorce. Turned out Ashley wasn't special, just convenient. And when convenience becomes a liability, even the rich run. I never responded to her last message. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin us." Too late. She didn't ruin us. She ruined herself. She chose the thrill of validation over loyalty, the temporary high of forbidden attention over the steady love of someone who was there, every day, showing up. She wanted the fantasy and discarded the foundation. And when it all collapsed, she wanted sympathy. But you don't get sympathy when you set the house on fire, and then cry about the smoke. My days were different now. Quieter. Sharper. I started hitting the gym again, not for revenge or looks, but just to feel something real, muscles burning, lungs tightening. A reminder that pain can be controlled. Channeled. I rearranged the house. Threw out everything that reminded me of her. Pictures, trinkets, gifts. Even that stupid framed quote she hung in the hallway. "Love grows where trust lives." Yeah. Tell that to Carter. One evening, I found myself back at the bar Natalie mentioned. I didn't call ahead, I just went. She was there, same spot by the corner, sipping something with lime in it. When she saw me, she smirked like she'd known I'd show up eventually. "Took you long enough," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "You keep a running tab for all broken men?" "Just the ones who survived." We talked. Laughed. No flirting, no pressure. Just two people who saw behind the curtain and didn't want to play games anymore. She asked me something that stuck with me. "If you could go back, would you change it? Not meet Ashley? Skip the whole thing?" I thought about it. Long and hard. "No," I said eventually. "Because that guy, the one who ignored the red flags, let things slide, thought love meant endurance, he had to go. And she burned him down. But now I know better." Natalie nodded slowly. "Yeah. That makes sense." And it did. Because pain, real pain, doesn't just scar you, it rebuilds you. If you let it. Ashley taught me how deep betrayal can cut. But more importantly, she taught me how to stop bleeding for someone who won't even admit they stabbed you. Some nights I still feel the echo of it. The lies. The empty bed. The nights I sat alone wondering if I was just imagining things. But I also remember the strength it took to stop asking, why, and start asking, what now? I don't know where she is now. Don't care. Maybe she's chasing someone else's attention, telling him the same stories, feeding him the same lies. But me? I'm done being someone's backup plan. Done being quiet when something doesn't feel right. Done mistaking manipulation for love. If you're reading this, and you've ever felt that knot in your stomach, that feeling that something isn't right, listen to it. Because love never comes with secrecy. And loyalty never comes with conditions. You deserve truth. You deserve peace. And sometimes, peace means walking away with nothing, so you can build something better from scratch.